Pleasure to you too, mate.
What are you doing? We can all pull about a little bit. Try to pull about, have a little pull in the...
Okay, so we're at the George Groves Rebrasse Weigh in front of me I've got Mr. Sky Sports Boxing himself, Adam Smith. Adam, firstly, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well indeed, yeah.
So we're at the weigh-in for George Groves. Obviously, when this fight was announced in June, July, was you surprised how quick the turnaround was for George Groves?
Yeah, I mean, George just continues to amaze me and surprise me. I've known him for a long time. He lives very near me, and I've been watching him since he was an amateur. He's had his ups and downs as an amateur, and he's had his ups and downs as a pro. What I like about George Groves is that, you know, he's got a very, very strong inner belief. He has the toughness about him to you know, go straight back into battle, and I think that this is a sensible match, but a tough fight. And I think that, you know, when I heard it was Christopher Rebrasse, you know, European champion, you know, he's not gone in with a nice, you know, warm up, a 10-rounder or something like that. It's straight back in, and it's straight back at Wembley. Of course, it's not the stadium, but it's here, and I think psychologically that's important. It told me a lot, but it told me a lot as well, you know, the 24, 48 hours after Carl Froch had knocked him out, you know, the reaction of George Groves. You know, he came to terms with it, he accepted it, he went back to the drawing board. He believes he can come again, he believes he can become a world champion, and I think providing tomorrow night goes as we think it will for him, that you know, it will be tough, but he should come through. I have no doubt that George can become a world champion.
Was it an easy decision to put George Groves back on Sky?
I really wanted George Groves back on Sky. I think that obviously, you know, Sky have been you know, showing a lot of Groves fights throughout his professional career, and also, you know, Carl Froch's, and I think that the fact that the two of them gave us such a dynamic story, it was absolutely compelling from the moment they met at the first press conference in Manchester, you know, to all the sort of ringside build up, the first fight, which was so thunderous and dramatic in Manchester, you know, the whole hype before the second. It was a massive story, wasn't it? And it was something that none of us in boxing will ever forget. I think George played, you know, more than his role in that story. You know, Carl Froch obviously came out victorious and you know, proved that he was the better man over the course of the two fights. But I think that George did a lot of good. You know, he put boxing back on the map in many ways for the casual fans, and I didn't want to lose George Groves. It was a tough one because obviously we've got a contract with Eddie Hearn at Matchroom, and he went to sign with Callie Sowling, who, you know, I like Callie and Nitho very much, but of course, you know, we can only do business with them in conjunction with Eddie and Matchroom at the moment because our contract is with Matchroom. We're seeing the Sowlings next week in Germany for Paul Smith's world title chance, which is great. I think they're very vibrant guys, just like Eddie Hearn is, and I think that it's good that they're working together on this. But I was adamant from my point of view that I wanted George Groves back on Sky as quickly as possible.
I just say we're back at Wembley, the scene of what many people think is Britain's best ever boxing night. Is being here whet your appetite for more boxing nights in 2015?
Absolutely, isn't it? I mean, I live 15 minutes away, so just driving up here today sort of reminded me of that great week of the last week in May, and this was the very room where the last press conference was with Froch and Groves, and as I knew the story was sort of coming to an end, because I thought that whatever happened, it would be pretty definitive. I wondered whether we'd have a trilogy, and I think sort of the right hand settled the score. But, you know, to look around you now, to look around you back then on May the 31st with 80,000 people around, it's a fantastic stadium, and I believe that if Brook and Khan or Khan and Mayweather, if it didn't happen in America, it could happen here. If fights like that, you know, Quick Frampton maybe not on this scale, but, you know, those sort of types of great matches. You know, we're going to get Bellew Cleverly in a few weeks' time now. That's not a stadium fight, of course, but those matches are what we want, what I think the British fight fans want, and the casual audience to get involved with great personalities, to see a 50-50 or a 55-45 match, top of the bill, and yeah, it's great. But just to see just a fellow just walked past me, he's the one that laid the pitch, actually, and helped turn the stadium into a boxing arena. You know, it's great to see the guys again up at Wembley. I would love to come back here, yeah, maybe next spring, summer.
You mentioned obviously working with Sowlings. Obviously, Paul Smith next week goes to Germany as well. Chance of winning what will be a tough fight, but another world title fight regardless. How do you think his chances are?
It's tough. I'm very close to Paul Smith because he works for us. He does a lot of analysis, and I've known him a long time because of the Ricky Hatton days when he was around Billy Graham and so forth. I mean, Paul was a really good amateur, sparkling amateur, silver in the Commonwealth Games, and I really thought that he would do more as a professional. And I think he's had the talent, but he's been a little bit lazy in training at times, and I think he's been sort of flitting between middle and super middleweight. But since he's teamed up with Joe Gallagher, and I think that the buzz of having the brothers really perform as well, I think the stable is flying. He's got himself into terrific shape, so he's given himself the best possible chance. He tells me, Adam, 1,000,000% I'm going to bring back that world title. It'd be great if it could happen, wouldn't it, for British boxing again after what Kell Brook did out in Carson. I think it's a tough ask. I think Abraham is a really dangerous fighter. Probably a better middleweight than he was a super middleweight. Carl Froch had a good night against him. But, Paul's lost to George Groves, he's lost to James DeGale. Is he just below that world elite class? Maybe. But he's got a great opportunity. Abraham's not unbeatable, and if he gets Abraham on a bad night in Germany, who knows? He's got a good chance, but I think it's a tough ask.
Now I've got to ask you the final question. Your co-presenter, I just spoke to him. I thought it was a joke at first, but he seems adamant he really does want that Marco Huck fight. Do you not want him sitting next to you much longer, or do you want him out there trying to stop Marco Huck from breaking his leg?
Tony, my co-presenter, is a very, very good friend of mine, and it's a difficult one. Johnny is, when I first heard about this and I heard he wanted to go to Germany to see the Hook fight, I thought, he's just making a bit of noise and having a bit of fun and playing around. My first thoughts were, he's been out the ring 9 years, come back to really successful, certainly that length of time. I mean, he's in terrific shape, he works out a lot, he keeps himself in good nick, he's in and out of the gym, of course, but it's very different being in shape and being in fight shape, and I worry in that way that, that he's had problems with his knees, he's had a hip operation, he rode the Dales on the bike 180 miles the day after Froch and Groves, and so, he's fit, of course he is, and he looks in cracking condition. Yeah. And when he gets his mind to something, he loves a challenge, and I have no doubt that he would whip himself into the best possible shape and give it a go. Is it reality? I think there's a lot of I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed, a lot of people with differing opinions whether he should or shouldn't do it. Let's not forget Marco Huck in all of this. Marco Huck may not want to go in with somebody of Johnny's style, because even 9 years on, Johnny's style was difficult for a lot of cruiserweights, and maybe he wouldn't have the reflexes and the speed of the old, but Marco Huck may not fancy it. So there's that hurdle. Would the British board want it? Would Johnny get a license? There's all sorts of different things that have to sort of get off the line. As a story, I mean, it's a rocky story, isn't it? He's going to be 48 in January. Could he come back? Marco Huck, 13 defences. Johnny Nelson, 13 defences. I mean, it's it's a PR dream, isn't it? But I think there's a lot of emotions that maybe are involved with people that work with Johnny. He's been terrific for Sky Sports. He's come over. He's been he's wonderful to work alongside, because he wants to learn. He wants to get better every day. It's a real job. He adores coming down to London, to being around the gyms. He's become a real Sky ambassador, to be honest. And so it's a tough one, but it's down ultimately to those hurdles and to Johnny himself, and whether he really seriously wants to do it. And being around him a lot, I think he is serious. Whether he will or not, we'll wait and see. But there's a long way to go with it. But it's not saying anything about the fact that the cruiserweights are a great division at the moment. Bellew and Cleverly are going to fight, and I don't think it's any sort of stunt. I think this is just the fact that he fancies a challenge, and he's been sort of called out, and and the fire that every fighter I think has is still there somewhere, and whether it's right or wrong to do it, people are talking about it, so let them continue, and I'm sure Johnny will make the right decision for him, and we'll see what happens. I think if he does take the fight, I think he should go into a training camp and see how he feels before everything's really dotted and crossed. I think he needs to have that he needs to spar again in a way. It's a long way before anything can happen. Will it? I don't know.
There you go. That's Sky Adam Smith for the George Groves Christopher Rebrasse Weigh-in. That goes live on Sky Sports tomorrow. Adam Smith, thanks a lot.